Ever wonder why your night drone shots are full of grain and noise while the pros drop crystal clear skylines that literally just look amazing? Well, it's not the drone's price tag or some secret AI mode. It's one deceptively simple move they all make within the first 30 seconds of flight. And it's the step that most hobbyists completely skip. So stick around, because by the end of this, you'll have the exact recipe to change your aerial photography and video for the better. G'day friends, we've all seen amazing photos and video of tack-sharp skyscrapers or night scenes that have zero grain and look just perfect. And of course, a lot of this can be fixed in post, but if you follow along, you'll see you can get a lot of it right in the camera. Now think about how bad your last flight footage may have been. Might have been full of yellow haze, mushy edges, and full of so much grain, it looks like as though someone threw a whole bunch of sand on your photo or your footage. And if you don't know why this is the case, it's because the higher you raise your ISO, the more grain or noise it introduces. And the gap between professional footage and your footage isn't about natural talent. It's a 5-second settings fix between ISO and shutter speed. All you have to do is nail that fix and you'll never post horribly grainy photos and videos ever again. Seriously. Now let's talk about the mistake that everybody makes. Most beginners, when faced with dwindling light, think, okay, low light means I just crank the ISO until I see something, then I'll fix it later in post. Now, although that is possible, it's the wrong way to look at it. And that's probably the biggest rookie mistake in low light drone photography. Every single stop you go above ISO 400, for instance, on a 1-inch sensor, which is only half of what the drones have out there. Most consumer drones have less sensor size than that. All it's going to do is increase how much digital rice or pixelated artifacts you get on your footage. So you're essentially telling your tiny sensor to work overtime in the dark, forcing it to amplify a signal that's barely there, which just introduces noise. Pros start the opposite way. They leave their ISO at a buttery smooth 100, switch to full manual mode, and then ask one crucial question: how slow can this shutter honestly go before it starts to introduce movement and blur? And that answer, my friends, decides everything else. All right, let's move into section 2, finding the floor shutter speed, as in the base. Okay, so how do you figure out that magical shutter speed? Well, it's simpler than you think. First, hover your drone in place, engage tripod mode if you have it, and make sure there's no significant wind. We're talking under 5 miles per hour if you can get it. And now take a test shot at shutter speed 1/50th of a second. Now, if you zoom in, really punch in on the image on your controller screen, you can look and see are the rooftops still crisp? Are the streetlights defined? If everything looks sharp, congratulations, that's your starting floor. If things look a bit smeared, a little soft, or you see a ghosting, then your shutter speed is too slow. So climb up to 1/80th of a second and then retest it. And just keep adjusting incrementally until you find that sweet spot where everything is still and sharp. Now, of course, every time you speed up your shutter speed, your image will darken down, but we'll fix that in a second. Once you've got that number, write it on your hand, save it in a custom preset, or just engrave it in your memory, because once the sky drops to that velvety blue, you won't have time to mess around with test shots and things like that. But if you're one of those people that needs settings written down, you can grab my free drone starter kit in the description. It has what we're talking about today and a whole lot more other stuff. Okay, let's go to section 3. We're going to let the ISO follow and not lead. With your shutter speed locked down at that tested floor, now you can nudge the ISO up. And I do mean nudge, I don't mean just go zoom with the wheel. Only increase it until the histogram on your screen just kisses the right edge. We're looking for details in the shadows without any harsh spikes, and we also want to preserve those precious highlights as well. The golden rule, however, is the same for all drones across every model of every drone. Find the lowest possible ISO number that gives you visible detail in the shadows without blowing out your highlights. Think of your ISO as a secondary support to your shutter speed and not to take the lead as far as adjustment goes. Okay, section 4, we're going to be talking about blue hour. True black sky is a pain, even for professional full-frame cameras, let alone a drone with a comparatively smaller sensor, and the fact that it's floating in the air, which is why true night video and photos is quite often done with the camera on a tripod. And even though you have a drone with a great gimbal, it's still a floating camera even in the best conditions. This is why pros do 90% of their night work during what we affectionately call the blue hour. It's that fleeting 15 to 30 minute window right after sunset or before sunrise when the sky isn't pitch black but a rich, deep cobalt blue. Ambient light still lingering, providing enough illumination to prevent your drone sensor from totally freaking out. Obviously, as the light disappears and gets closer to dark, your ISO will creep up. The trick here is to arrive to your location early. So turn up just before sunset. You can put your drone in the air right on sunset. You can frame your shot perfectly, and then you can just wait for the light to get perfectly how you want it, and then get the photo or video that you need. The second those street lamps flicker on and the sky hits that perfect cobalt blue, that's when you fire off your burst of shots or take your video, whichever one you're doing. Timing is everything. The next section is about raw photos. Now with photos, seriously, shoot raw every single time, no excuses. Those 12 or more extra bits of color information aren't just technical jargon. They're your get out of jail free card when you need to pull up the intricate details of a building's facade from the shadows or tame the harsh orange glow of bright lights. RAW gives you more flexibility to do without destroying your image in the edit, making sure you have the maximum room for adjustments in post, which is absolutely critical for low light success. So get out there and give this little trick a try and let me know in the comments how you went. But if you haven't got a drone as yet, then give this video here a look, as it will help you decide on what to do next. Thanks for watching.